Showing on this episode of Law Weekly, a conversation with a senior legal practitioner, Ihenyen, on the move by some persons to stop the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from using the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System, BVAS. We also show you highlights from the commissioning of the remodeled Bayelsa State High Court complex, which not only has a new name, but is also the first court complex in the country, complete with electronic filing, plus a recap of some of the major stories from the courts. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Shola Shuyeli. As the elections draw closer, there are concerns in some quarters about some court cases taken to stop the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from using the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System, BVAS. Are the reasons for going to court genuine? Senior legal practitioner Ihenyen joins me now on the program.
Well, interlopers will always go to court. At the end of the day, they will achieve nothing. Quote me any day. Because the Constitution has now, by the 16th alteration, has allowed INEC, 16th alteration to Section 160 of the Constitution, has allowed INEC to be the one to regulate, to manage, to do everything concerning the election, including the introduction of electronic gadgets, which they have now decided to introduce with the bimodal voter accreditation system. Now, they have even added to it what Nigerians clamored for over the years, this transmission of election results from polling areas, from polling centers. That has also been added. So now you have the beavers working, in the sense that you get to the polling booth, you can do fingerprint or whatever biometrics. Then it can also capture your face. So you cannot impersonate. You cannot steal anybody's identity. So identity theft has been taken care of. It takes care of you have your fingerprints and you have your face and all that on by the beavers, taken by the beavers. Then the next thing, even everything that happens there by way of election, accreditation, authentication, and the rest of it is transmitted almost real time, if not real time, to the INEC viewing portal directly. So how do you want to manipulate? Unlike before, you have some, I hate to use this word, but that's what it is. You have some funny professors in the university. What they do, you see them carry a piece of paper. The man will travel from, is there anywhere called Kutuwenji? From Kavanchan, from wherever. They will say they are carrying the election results to Abuja, for a presidential election. The man now starts reading, and you will see them, they will even make errors, mistakes as to figures, simple arithmetic that a 4-year-old would know, a professor will keep modeling up figures, but why they do all that is best known to them. But I believe that if you really calculated it properly, you shouldn't have issues when you are now trying to collate and make your presentation. But because they've tampered with, you will even see some of the papers, there will be all kinds of mutilation, all kinds of, so they just concoct figures and just make it suit whoever they're working for. But now you don't have to do that. From the polling booth, from the area, whatever they call polling booth, polling centers, they can just directly send this thing to the INEC portal. And once they do that, even you as a private individual can hook onto the INEC portal, get hooked onto their app, and then you monitor the elections. You monitor the results as they come in. And of course, the civil society groups now have what they call their situation centers. All that will also go to the situation centers of the civil society groups. So what else?
Everybody can monitor.
Everybody can monitor.
So,
you can monitor on your phone.
Are actually unfounded.
Yes, you can monitor on your phone. That is what Nigerians have been clamoring for.
I say this because they specifically cited sections 50, subsection 2, section 60 and 62 of the Electoral Act. And then they've even, talked about the unavailability of telecommunications network coverage across some substantial parts of Nigeria. Don't you think that's a valid fear, though?
No, it is not. I will explain why it is not. The Section 50 and Section 60 or thereabout that they're talking about, they're just talking about provisions up in the old school. That's what we used to do. You go there, you do accreditation, then I think Jonathan's government brought in the card reader. And when the card reader fails, you have what they call incident form. Now you don't need all that. You don't need all that because I'm told that INEC has made enough provision for the beavers. They have enough beavers. Then they have some beavers that they have kept somewhere within the locality. So if beavers malfunction, they send for more beavers and all that. So you don't need all that now. So what they are saying, oh, people will go get incident form, do this, thumbprint and all that. Come on. The world has moved on. We cannot keep doing something the old way and expect different results. It's not going to work. So I think this is the best way to go, quite frankly.
The fact of unavailability of telecommunications network in some areas, which is also one of the points, the questions they put before the courts. A
lot of the tel companies have a lot of reach on their, is it 4G network? It is the 4G network that is used for these because everything is there in the clouds. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of them, their reach is quite enormous. That is the truth. But even if they have problems with the reach, the problems we will encounter for failing to use the beavers and failing to use the electronic transmission and all the 5G outreach and their penetration will be more than what we'll encounter using the beavers. That is the truth. For instance, in the last election, 2019, I think there were about, we had about 900,000 votes from Borno where there was war. In the presidential election I'm talking about, in that same presidential election, in Lagos, there was no war. We were all enjoying, having fun in Lagos. We had only 1,020,000 something voters. At the presidential, like, go and check. Oh, like these politicians go and fact check. It's there. So the point I'm trying to make is that, did we achieve anything? But you see that a lot of people will tell you that even that those figures were manipulated. They were figures that were allocated. Because, for instance, how do you get that such a huge number of people? I mean, comparatively with the situation in Borno
at the time.
Yes, how do you get 900,000 people voted? And Lagos, where there was no war, no Boko Haram, no kidnapping, you had just 1,021,000. Come on.
So these are some of the issues that the beavers and the electronic will address.
These beavers has already started addressing it. I think they started somewhere in 2020, in some by-election somewhere in, I don't know, somewhere in the north. I think they now came to another by-election in Isoko or somewhere. Now they came to, of course, they went to Ekiti. Yeah, there's Ondo,
yes.
Ondo election. Anambra first in 2021. And they used the beavers, and it was fantastic. And you all see the results. The results will come on.
So how do you think that the courts should be addressing these suits, that those who have filed these cases, that to stop INEC from using beavers and the electronic?
The courts should just brand them meddlesome interlopers. Simple.
And show them out.
That's what they are. They should just take all those, whatever they have filed, put it together and dump them in the trash can. That is what I think the courts should do.
Anyway, it will be interesting to see how the courts
address listen, that. Even the president cannot query INEC on their procedure, the procedure they have adopted, on the way they have decided to regulate the election. Even the president, Section 160, says so. So what are we talking about? Is he somebody that just probably wants to be heard? and just goes to court, they are just meddlesome interlopers, if you ask me. Because you just threw away those cases.
Let's come back to the role of the courts on elections.
Yes.
I know that the Federal High Court has been saddled with exclusive jurisdiction on pre-election cases.
Yes.
Which a lot of people have condemned. I mean, we already say that the courts are clogged with a lot of cases. To now saddle the Federal High Courts with pre-election cases, and such that other cases have to suffer.
I agree with you absolutely. And other cases have always been suffering, even before now.
But this now makes it worse.
It's worse. You have some cases at the Supreme Court lying there for 4, 5, 6 election cycles. Not heard. I'm talking of 15 years, 16 years at the Supreme Court. But once these funny election cases come,
they take priority.
30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Because they are time sensitive.
The lives of lawyers who don't take election matters matter. They have to bear that into consideration. We can't do our cases anymore. We can't do our normal cases. Must you do election cases?
So what kind of reform do we need to address that? How?
What the reform, I think we need to address it. Why can't you even stop some of these election petition matters at the court of first instance? At the tribunal level.
Then there will be no opportunity for an appeal?
Yes, if that is the end of it, it's the end of it. Why do you have to go on appeal? Why do you have, because at times, some of these things are things that can be resolved at the tribunal level, quite frankly. But you now take everybody, local government election, Supreme Court.
I'm sure some lawyers will not agree with you on this issue. I mean, there should at least be one level of appeal.
Quite frankly, that is why we have the clog. That is why you have a deluge of all these cases. They are all over the place, and things now, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, they are even getting ready. They are getting ready for election matters that have not come.
Yeah, the panels have been set up.
Yes, because of that, normal cases are not going on. Are you saying that Nigerians who don't have anything to do with the election, their cases do not matter? Are you saying that Nigerians or lawyers who don't have anything to do with election matters, their cases don't matter? Come on.
Let's round up generally talking about other reforms that you would like to see in the judiciary, apart from elections and the fact that they are going to, the speed of justice generally is very slow. But apart from the fact that, these cases are clogging up the courts and all of that, what other kind of reforms would you like to see in judiciary, especially, as we start this new year?
Majorly is what I've just talked about. I mean, trying to let them do less work on these electoral matters. And again, let me also say that with these beavers and the electronic transmission, you will see that the election matters that will go from High Court to Court of Appeal and all that will reduce. Because the problem is always been, somebody sits down somewhere, they write figures. After people have queued in the sun, have done all that, when they see it's not going their way, they try creating problems. You see there will be all kinds of mayhem, and they snatch ballot papers and all. Now, if you snatch ballot box, you have just snatched toilet paper. Quite frankly, that is what you have snatched. Nothing, because that ballot box you have taken does not say anything about what has happened. Because right from day one, right from the beginning, the election results are already gone. They've gone to where they ought to be, where they are being collated from all over the country and all that.
So you think we'll see less election petitions this cycle?
With these beavers and this electronic transmission, trust me.
Less election cases, and that will free up the courts to handle more other pressing cases.
Definitely. By the time you have the thing is so, I mean, your polling agents, the electoral officers and all that, everybody, they have the results. The result is already gone on the INEC portal. You have your mobile phone, you can hook up. They'll give you. There's an app. You get the INEC app, the portal. You hook onto it. You know what the results is in your village. You know what it is everywhere. Who are you going to go to court to go and say, oh no, some policemen, they are the ones who manipulated these results, or some INEC staff, or somebody was bribed to do what? What do you want to bribe them for?
Okay, so now that you talked about police force and election, that debate about the Election Offences Commission, is that necessary, do you think?
Again, all those infractions will reduce with the beavers and the electronic transmission. I am very, very, very sure that all this will reduce. I mean, when you now find out that if you give somebody money, probably a few meters from the polling center, you give him money, the man gets there, he gets accredited, he gets authenticated and everything. He goes in and there's a private ballot. The man votes and does what he has to do. And that thing, at the moment he finishes, is transmitted. Even if you kill him, the results will not change. Will it change? It can't. So what are we talking about? All those things about the crime that is related to election matters, the election cases and all that, all these infractions will be reduced to the barest minimum because it will become, in fact, I don't know, for want of a better word to you, it will become stupid for you to say, oh, I want to go to court. Go to court to do what?
Welcome back. Staying with election matters, the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban-Mensah, has warned judicial officers against malpractice. She warned that those who compromise their duties at the election tribunals will be sacked. She said this at the training for election tribunal staff in Abuja.
Serving on the tribunal is a serious national responsibility. It is a job that you should run away from because it's very stressful. You are working with people who are not willing, some of whom are not willing to allow you to do your normal job. They want to induce you, they want to mislead you, they want you to do things that are against the law. So why will you be eager to do such a job if you are not out to serve the nation? Please, don't accept this assignment when you are posted. And we are going to be watching you closely. Anyone who exhibits a tendency to compromise the interests of our nation for self is going to be pulled out. And I want to assure you, we're not just going to post you out. We will make sure you lose your job.
Bayelsa State has recorded a first in Nigeria with the launch of its electronic court filing system, which is expected to quicken litigation and administration of justice in the state. Governor Doye Diri launched the new filing system while commissioning the remodeled State High Court complex. Details up next.
This is the remodeled Bayelsa State High Court complex, named after the pioneer Chief Judge of the state, late Justice Korimako David Mbuku.
A trial within trial. When the voluntariness of a confession...
The Chief Judge of the state takes a walk down memory lane on the process the State High Court complex has undergone to become the first complex with equipment for electronic filing in the country.
When we thought all was lost, miracles popped up to show us that with God, everything is possible. Through Your Excellency's unceasing support and encouragement to the glory of God, who rewarded our faith, this project was completed in just 6 months. I would like to mention that our repositioning of the Bayelsa State Judiciary transcends building of physical court structures. Due attention is also given to non-physical infrastructure, such as modernizing our conflict resolution platforms, rules of procedure, and training of personnel.
Chief Judge of Borno State, who was present at the commissioning, says that with electronic filing technology, lawyers can now file their cases from anywhere they are in the world.
At the infrastructure level is national, whereby any lawyer anywhere in the world where there is internet can now file his case into the judiciary. and the case also will electronically move to the Chief Judge for assignment, and on the click of her handset or laptop or whatever from anywhere in the world, she will assign, or the Chief Judge will assign that case to the court. The court will also set a date. The judge or the registrar immediately that is clicked will set a date for hearing.
The Right Honorable Frederick Yetemone Agbedi.
The governor of the state, Governor Diri, congratulates the state judiciary for the construction and completion of the project in record time.
This impressive new building, with its modern design and construction, is a mark of how much the state judiciary has progressed under the watch of Justice Kate Abiri. The electronic filing of documents and web-based access to court materials has become commonplace in many developed legal jurisdictions around the world. Without belaboring the point, we know that the major benefits of digitizing court records are the documents in electronic format that can be moved rapidly and less expensively than a paper-based system, thus saving time and resources.
Justice Zana also announced that the first lawyer to utilize electronic filing will win the National Judiciary Council Prize.
And just before we go, let's quickly do a recap of some of the top trending stories from the courtrooms.
We begin with the report that the Supreme Court has agreed to promptly hear an appeal by a serving senator, Mr. Peter Nwoboshi, who was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. A 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, granted Nwoboshi's prayer that his appeal be brought forward and heard promptly. Justice Ariwola, in the lead ruling, says Senator Nwoboshi's application, having not been opposed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and other respondents, should be granted as prayed. The CJN subsequently rescheduled the hearing of the appeal for February 9, 2023, as against the earlier date of November 21, 2024. Another panel of the Supreme Court has nullified the primary election of the People's Democratic Party for Imo West Senatorial District, which produced Mr. Jones Onyerere as its senatorial candidate for the National Assembly election. The Apex Court nullified the primary election on the grounds that it was conducted in Owerri, the Imo State capital, instead of Olu, which is the senatorial headquarters of Imo West. In a judgment on the appeal filed by Mr. Nnamdi Ezeani, Justice Emmanuel Agim said the PDP violated Section 87, subsection 9 of the Electoral Act by conducting the primary election outside the venue clearly stipulated by law. At the Court of Appeal, Abuja, a 3-member panel of the court has declared Mr. Francis Agbo as the validly nominated candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the Ado Opoku Ogbadibo Federal Constituency of Benue State. In a unanimous decision, the panel held that Ms. Aida Oguche, who was declared winner of the PDP primaries by the Independent National Electoral Commission, was still a staff of the Federal Inland Revenue Service as at the time of the election. Consequently, the court ordered INEC to immediately withdraw the certificate of return issued to her and issue same to Agbo as the validly nominated candidate of the party for the federal seat. At the Federal High Court, Abuja, the court has dismissed a suit by the People's Democratic Party seeking an order disqualifying Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak from participating in the state's 2023 governorship election. Justice Ihenyen Ekwo dismissed the suit for being incompetent and an abuse of court process. He held that the PDP lacks the right to sue since it wasn't a participant in the APC governorship primary that produced Mr. Abdulrazak. And we round off with the report that the National Industrial Court sitting in Akure, Ondo State, has held that the provision of Section 127 of the Police Act and Regulation 127, which applies to unmarried women police officers getting pregnant while in service, but does not apply to unmarried male police officers impregnating females while they are in service, is discriminatory. In a landmark judgment delivered by Justice Dashe Damulak, the court accordingly struck out the regulation for being inconsistent with Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and Article 2 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which abolishes discrimination on basis of gender. The court, however, refused the application of the claimant, Ms. Omolola Olajide, seeking to be reinstated as a police officer for her wrongful dismissal.
And that's the program for today. If you missed any part of it, you can find it on past episodes on our YouTube channel. Do also give us feedback via any of our social media platforms. I'm Shola Sheyede. Thank you for watching and see you next week.